My name is Kim. I am a resident of Needham, and I have a husband, Ryan, and I have twins. One is Will, who came to Bierman for 5 years, and he has a twin sister, Maddie. They are now 13 years old, but when he started Bierman, he was only 5, I believe. Yeah, it was his kindergarten year. So yeah. Will loves music. He absolutely adores playing music, listening to music, dancing to music. He enjoys Disney movies. So he's got some favorites. He's got Toy Story and Moana, Tangled, Frozen. So those have all kind of come into heavy rotation at our home. Um, he loves to just laugh and be with other people. It's difficult for him to engage socially, but I think he really likes to be part of a crowd. Um, yeah. So, what led us to seek ABA services? Will got a pretty late diagnosis. So, just to give you a little background, Will has a dual diagnosis of Down syndrome and autism. And I kind of knew fairly early on that there was something else going on. Um, but it was difficult because of the diagnostic overshadowing, they weren't really mentioning autism to us. Finally, after years and years of me pushing, we did get a diagnosis. He was 5 at the time, and we were just in public school. We actually lived in a different town at that point, and we knew we were moving to Needham. And I just started calling around looking for ABA services, not really knowing anything about it, knowing the difference between home based, center based. I just wanted some therapy for him. And when I had called, the person on the phone was lovely and said, they explained to me that this was actually a pretty intensive full-time program. And I thought, well, if you're telling me this is like almost 40 hours a week, how does he go to school? And they're like, no, this is actually in lieu of school. And I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. And yeah, we did some research, did some homework. We came in, we took a tour, and we felt really good about it. And that's how we found Bierman. But I wasn't looking necessarily for anything center-based that was very intensive. I just luckily happened upon it, and it was life-changing. So when we got to Bierman, we noticed that the team was very thorough, very committed. Um, they really seemed to want to know everything about Will before he even started. So I remember, this is so amazing, Chrissy Borowski came to his preschool to observe him in his preschool classroom just to see, sort of how he was and, give us her thoughts. And she was the one who noticed right away that at that time, Will's nonverbal, still is nonverbal, but he didn't have a device. He didn't really have a way of communicating. That led to a lot of shenanigans in the class, of course. And the team just, as soon as we started officially, they really took the time to get to know Will. And everything was so uniquely tailored specifically for him. And that's what we loved about it. It wasn't a one size fits all approach. Everybody developed his programming specifically geared to where he was and what he needed. So it was, yeah, it was amazing. A typical day, we would come early. I think we started around 8:30 in the morning. Um, we would get him in, get him settled, and then I would leave. And then he would run through, at the time, so we were here for 5 years, so there were a couple of different iterations, but he did always have a BCBA who was managing his particular programming. And then it was always like 1 to 2 therapists. I believe it was like a morning person and an afternoon person, and they were very familiar with Will, all his habits, all his good qualities, all of his challenging behaviors. And they would run through individual programs throughout the day. And then we would have check-ins periodically with the team and also with our BCBA, kind of letting us know where the data was, showing us his progress. And we felt like we always knew what was going on. It wasn't like we were just sending him into this, black hole every day and then, nobody knows. It was great. The communication has always been fantastic. As I just mentioned, the communication at Bierman has been top notch. We always felt that all our questions were answered, and we were always given a lot of explanation of what the team was trying to achieve with Will, what the goals were, how data is measured, how progress can be seen. And we did feel like there was never really any point where I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on, or I don't feel comfortable. Because if we ever did have questions, we had so many opportunities to ask them. And actually, part of the program, while we were here, was having mandatory parent trainings. And that helped immensely for us to understand, what are we trying to accomplish, and how can we at home help him generalize these skills that he's learning. So that was really amazing. And it was eye-opening for us. And honestly, it was just as valuable for us as it was for Will, in terms of learning. Yes. I would say really what a milestone or some progress that he's made while at Bierman that has made such a difference in our day-to-day life is his ability to follow directions and attend, and communicate. All of these things are so critical to our day-to-day life. When we first started here, I would say Will didn't have the greatest eye contact, and it's still variable. I mean, he still has autism, and it's something that, he struggles with, and, we struggle with, but he is able now so much better to understand receptively what we're saying to him and follow simple directions. I remember when he was really young and I would try to take him somewhere, I was absolutely terrified that he was just going to run into traffic or just sit on the ground and not, listen to me to get up. And, we still occasionally, I'm not so worried about him running into traffic, but we still occasionally run into issues with, if he doesn't want to do something, he will be a little defiant and communicate to us that he doesn't want to by like sitting on the ground. But it's gotten so much better. I really, feel comfortable taking him to the local ice cream shop, or a preferred activity that he loves, and, not have to worry like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? So yeah, he's really made a lot of progress. One particular thing sticks out in my mind that it was Christina Gallagher who worked on this with him. But getting him to understand that his communication can get people to actually do things. And they would play a game, and it was like a game of flipping on the lights. And he just loved the fact that he could get a reaction from adults and get them to do things by him, either flipping on the lights, and Christina would come in and say, "Oh, you've been so naughty," and he would laugh and they would play. And it was just that true sense of engagement and understanding that he could have a back and forth with another person, and that connection. So yeah, that definitely sticks out. I mean, so yes, I do remember, and I remember when I was so intimidated to start it. We were very intimidated to even attempt potty training with Will. And I can say even to this day, he's not 100%. It's still, a lifelong goal progress that, we're trying to get to. But I remember the first time, I think Christina lived in the bathroom with Will for like a whole week. And when he started it took a long time, but he finally got the idea what he was supposed to do and like produce it in the potty. It was amazing. And I remember the first time he actually brought himself at home, I think I cried. I mean, it was just amazing. It was just knowing that he is capable and that he can get there eventually. It gave us so much hope. Yeah. We've really, life is crazy as always, but, we've really settled into a nice rhythm in our life. Will attends public school now. He's fully supported in a sub-separate classroom. And I never knew if it was going to be possible for him to go back to a general classroom setting in a public school. I didn't know, what we would be facing as he got older. But yeah, the transition went really, really well. So, Will pretty much finished out the fourth grade here at Bierman and then transitioned to elementary school in Needham for grade 5. And then he transferred to the middle school starting with 6th grade, and he is continuing there today. He's technically in 7th grade. And it's great. We have a very, controlled, comfortable life, but we get to have a lot of fun. We get to go on vacations, and Will can travel on a plane and go places with us. Every year in February, we go to the Caribbean. So that's really fun. He loves beach time and playing in the water. And I would say we have, it's not like your everyday typical life, but I would say we have a very happy family life. Oh, Will's graduation day. Oh, I'm going to get choked up here. Well, I mean, we had been here for 5 years, so it was time. But so many good memories, so many wonderful relationships, so many connections that Will's made and that we've made with the staff here. It was an emotional day for sure, but seeing him in his little blue cap and gown, and just knowing that he was on to school, it just made us so proud and so happy to be part of it. It really, even at the time, I remember just reflecting so much on the journey and, where he started to, where he ended up, at the end at graduation day. It was really amazing. And we're grateful. I mean, I just felt really, really grateful to have that expertise. And, Bierman really gave us a good sense of hope that our future was still really bright. I know. So I would say ABA is such a powerful tool for Will and kids like Will because he doesn't learn in a typical fashion. He requires a lot of exposure and patience. And it's not like, even when progress is made, it has to be continually reviewed and reinforced. And, he's at risk for regression for a lot of things. And it's always feeling like one step forward, two steps back. But with ABA, I feel like he does get that benefit of so many instances and so much personal reinforcement that he gets it and he learns and his rate of learning has increased. I mean, it took so long for him to, do, things that a lot of people take for granted. But he does. And now he's learning skills that I never really would have expected when he was 5. So, it's been amazing to see. And I do feel like ABA has been critical for him getting to this point. Well, I don't have a lot of experience with other centers, so it's hard for me to say, but I can say personally, our experience has been um, just so feeling so well supported. Um, the communication has been so top notch, and really feeling that collaboration with the BCBA, the entire team, um, and just feeling like everyone truly has your child's best interest at the forefront in everything they do, and that has been amazing. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on all day about how wonderful Bierman has been for Will and for our family. I would say to a parent just starting their ABA journey, don't be afraid. Um, Trust the process. It's not going to happen overnight, but amazing things can happen. And you just have to trust the process and be willing to also be open to learning yourself because you can get so much out of it and you could learn so much if you really are open to it. It's a great question. Is there something I wish someone told me when I first started? I think I would say to be patient. I think it's hard to see the long-term vision of where everything is going. Um, you know, you're sort of just focused on these small tasks, these small goals, and it's hard to see how it's all going to the totality of everything is just going to add up and bring your child forward. But it's amazing because it does happen. Um, and I would just say, yeah, I think I wish maybe somebody would have said, hey, it's okay. It's going to take some time, um, but he's going to get there, you know? I would say so. ABA has been very important to our whole family because there's just so much more awareness now of things myself, my husband, my daughter, we can all be doing to better support Will and to relate to him. I think before we started the ABA journey, we were a bit of we were at a loss on how to deal with him, how to interact with him, how to, form that connection, how to support him. And now I feel like we're all very comfortable with him, just being with him and interacting with him and getting him to do things that he needs to do. I think there's just so much more awareness and comfort with, just autism in general, and knowing that there are strategies and tools to help us help him.
Yeah. Perfect. Well,